What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. Today, I will be showing off every single slab in my collection. I usually do at least one of these videos a year or every 6 months as I accumulate more and more slabs in the collection. So I'm excited to be doing another one with you all today. We're going to be looking at CGC, CBCS, and EGS, as you can see a couple here. Before we get into all the books, though, of course, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so. Check out all the awesome links below, including the link to today's sponsor, PopCultureZone.com. Very fitting that Pop Culture Zone is sponsoring today's video because we're talking about slab books. And if you want to find awesome deals on some amazing slabs, check out PopCultureZone.com. And I'm going to run just a 1-minute clip to show you guys what they're all about. PopCultureZone.com is an online shop focusing on hot new comics, including exclusive and incentive variants, CGC graded comics, and tons of other inventory, including pop culture toys and other collectibles, all at low and competitive prices. PopCultureZone.com ships all over the US, and if you are buying raw comics, they offer flat rate shipping of only $4.99. That's right, $4.99. Absolute craziness, right? And there's no taxes included, excluding New Jersey. Pop Culture Zone is also on eBay, where they hold a 100% positive feedback rating with over 8,000 completed transactions for this year alone. Make sure to check out the link to their website below, as well as their eBay link, so be sure to give them a follow there as well. All right, everyone, so let's get into some slab comics. The first few I'm going to show off here are books that are actually books that I technically don't own. I'm only borrowing them. So very excited to show these off. These were all donated. Let's start with this one over here. This is a 9.6 Carnage Black, White, and Blood #1 Virgin variant signed by Patrick Gleason himself. This is an EGS Slap. For those that aren't familiar with EGS, check out their link in the description below as well. They do amazing jobs. I trust their grading, very transparent grading system. And of course, you get the awesome custom labels if you choose to. They do have the standard blue label as well. So that's just beautiful. You can see the signature right there and a nice 9.6 white pages. This is going to be a donation for or a prize, I should say, for our 1,000 subscriber giveaway on Comic Book Canon. If you aren't familiar with our Comic Book Canon show that we have live every Friday night, that link's below as well. So hopefully you can go give us a sub for our YouTube channel there to get us to that 1,000 mark so we can have our contest. This was donated by an amazing friend of the channel, Comic Ozzy, who also has a YouTube channel. You guys should go find him, Comic Ozzy. He does amazing work and is just an awesome human being. Next up, donated by amazing friend of the channel, Dan De La Torre, a 9.6 CGC Signature Series, Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man #64, the first appearance of Cloak and Dagger, signed by Ed Hannigan. That is a beauty right there as well. And another one for our Comic Book Canon contest, a beautiful 9.8 Spawn 311 Chadwick Boseman tribute. This was donated by Tony, president of EGS. Did an amazing job again with the custom slab, certificate of authenticity with grader notes as well for every EGS book. All right, folks, now let's get into some CGC books. I do have 2 boxes. These are raw books. We're not showing those off. This is a graded box. It's all Spider-Man stuff. And then we got this box right here. So we're going to just go right ahead and start pulling them out. First up, a recent one back this year from CGC Eternals, #2, first appearance of the Celestials. This is 9.2 off-white to white pages. I purchased this book as a raw book, stated to be, I believe, like a 4.0. I pressed and cleaned it. Got a 9.2. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Next up, we have another hot one right now. Thor 165. First appearance of him in a 4.5 white pages. So that's really awesome having in white pages, but 4.5. I thought, when I sent this out, I thought it would get a little bit higher than that. I still think it could possibly get a 5.0 on a good day, but the back looks really clean. A couple of big color breaks, but still very happy with this book. Obviously, it's booming on the market right now. Here is my Spawn 311 in a 9.6. I bought a good handful of these raw just because I wanted one to put on display because of the Chadwick Boseman tribute, and I went through a few of them and thought I picked the best one. And when this first came back at 9.6, I'm like, are you kidding me? But then I actually saw something on the staple down here, a little white indents, kind of like a color loss white indents, and I'm like, yep, that could definitely take it down. Still, I'm happy to have it because I wasn't trying to resell it or anything, but it would have been nice to get that 9.8. This was my first 9.8 in my collection. The Spawn 300, obviously ASM 300 cover swipe, 9.8 white pages. I sent this in, came back a 9.8. That was last year, I think, 2020. Alrighty, we got Avengers annual number 10, first appearance of Rogue, and an 8.0 off-white to white pages. I do believe I guessed this to be an 8.0 when it came back in 8.0. So I was happy with that. There was a little bit more of a, I gave this a quick press, but there's a bit of a pressable defect right there. Some rippling. I think that if I would have gave it a better press, this could have came back in 8.5 for sure. All right, next up we got Spider-Woman number 32 in a 4.5 off-white to white pages. Another one, folks, that, I've been talking about this book for a couple of years now, but I still think this is a solid investment right now if you could get a good deal for it. We don't know what's going on with the Spider-Women, whether it's, whichever version that we get, Jessica Drew, Jennifer Carpenter, or, Silk. Many things going on with Sony right now. And, we know that the Sony Spider-Verse and, MCU are really crossed over now. So if you can find a good deal on this and it's something that interests you and you're willing to take the risk, it could be a good buy still. And this is another one that I've been talking about for a long time. Nova number 1, 7.0 off-white to white pages. I've been talking about this for a long time. And again, we have a confirmation from Kevin Feige that Nova's going to show up, most likely both of them, Richard Rider and Sam Alexander. But, we don't have a casting. We don't have a trailer or anything like that yet. So again, it could be a decent time still before the book, really kind of spikes. But again, I'm never here to tell you guys to buy something. I'm just here to give you guys my advice. This one has definitely boomed. This was one that I've had since my childhood, and I was hoping for a 5.0. I think on this, if I can remember correctly, 4.5 or 5.0. 4.0, but it was really beat up. I wasn't expecting too much from it, being that I had it since I was a kid. First appearance of She-Hulk number 1. Can't wait for that show. Can't wait for all the shows, to be quite honest. Spider-Woman number 1. This is the one fluke. Well, one of the flukes that I had. I thought this was going to be at least an 8.5, but there was about a 2 millimeter, not even 2 millimeter, probably like a millimeter rip right there. Actually, right there. That's just a little ding. But I'm a bit more savvy. This was from the first books that I ever sent into CGC. The seller on eBay had it is a very fine near mint, which would technically be a 9.0. Now, I know not to trust the descriptions that sellers put on their eBay listings, but I looked at the pictures and I'm like, okay, that's pretty solid. But knowing now, I know it wasn't that high of grade, but I still would bump this up higher than a 6.0. I would call it at least a 7.0 plus. But I know now that CGC is very, very hard on any type of rip. So you guys could probably see that right there. Again, maybe like just a millimeter of a rip. And I think that really took it down. So unfortunately, yeah. I also noticed, so this was one thing that was very odd. I saw a spine indentation roll. I don't know if you guys can see it there in the light. That was not, and I take pictures of all my stuff. Here's a tip for all of you guys sending your books out to get pressed, or not pressed, but graded by any company. Take pictures before you send them in. This roll was not there. It's just like, it's a spine stress roll. It wasn't there. It was not there when I sent it in, and you could see it on the pictures. I don't know what that was all about, but hey, it is what it is. All right. We have the Origin of Captain America, Cap 109, 9.2 white pages. I bought this raw, I think, for like $35. And what an amazing deal it was. I did press and clean it. Beautiful, beautiful book. That white cover with white pages too. Just a beautiful Silver Age book to have in such a high grade. Next up, very happy to own this book, even though it is a green label. I purchased it graded. It is missing the value stamp, so it's qualified. 4.0 off-white pages. Hulk 180, first appearance of Wolverine in cameo. So just happy to own it. You know, I do believe it's doubled in, at least doubled in value since I bought it. Probably even more. I think it doubled in value last year, so I haven't looked at it recently. All right, next up, folks, we have Secret Wars number 8. The origin of the black symbiote suit with the classic Mike Zeck cover in a 9.0. I sent this in hoping to get a 9.0, and it came back a 9.0 off-white to white pages. Very happy with that. I paid $40 for this book raw. Still of a deal in my humble opinion. All right, we got Wonder Woman number 7, the first appearance of Barbara Minerva, aka the second Cheetah. And a 9.4, it's solid. You know, this book is kind of cooled off since Wonder Woman 84. It was the first DC graded book that I sent in and owned. So, still happy to have. I love Wonder Woman, and cool to have a Wonder Woman book in my collection. CGC graded collection, that is. All right, we're getting deep into this box. This was another blunder where I thought this was going to at least be a 9.0. It's a Fantastic Four 74, just a really cool earlier appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus. 7.0 off-white to white pages. And I still stand by this book. I mean, if you look at it, it presents like a 9.0. But I think this is what they hit me on. A little bit of discoloration right there, which I think they saw as some type of moisture stain. And I think that's what hit. There was no greater notes that indicated any type of moisture damage at all. So that kind of pissed me off about this one. I still think this book is much higher than a 7.0. I'll state that for till the day I die. This is a beauty in my collection. Wolverine number 1 limited series volume 1, 9.6 off-white to white pages. I purchased this book raw a few years back, and at the time I thought I paid too much for it. I paid about $60, and I like I said, I really thought I paid too much, but I pressed it, cleaned it, sent it off to CGC, got a 9.6. I do believe this book has hit about 500 fair market value, if I remember off the top of my head. So, am I disappointed that I paid $60 for this book raw now? Absolutely not. All right, next up, we got some EGS action. Beautifully done. Wonder Woman Black and Gold number 1. 9.8 whites. I was going to say white series. 9.8 white pages. And the custom black and gold label. Just a great job by EGS. It's a Josh Middleton variant. Just amazing. Amazing stuff. Certificate of authenticity. All right, we got some more CGC. One of my holiest of grails. Fantastic Four 48. First appearance of Silver Surfer. First appearance of Galactus in cameo in a 3.0 off-white to white pages. I bought this graded. This book has since more than tripled in value since I purchased it. It can definitely benefit from a press. It's got some waves in it. If you guys could see that, if I press this up, it would absolutely get at least a 3.5. I do believe this book can definitely get, or well, definitely. I would be optimistic that this book can be bumped up to a 4.0 without seeing what's going on inside, you know, but just from the waviness. You know, there's no huge color breaks running through the core of the book. The only thing that concerns me about getting that 4.0 is this kind of color rub that you see on the Fantastic Four members here. But I know it would get a 3.5 by giving it a press because it's never been pressed before. And there's so many waves in there, front and back. But I don't think I ever will. I don't know. Unless I become extremely wealthy and you know, don't mind playing around with my very valuable books. All right, next up, Black Panther, number 3 in a 6.5 off-white to white pages. Nothing key here, just an early Black Panther book that I purchased for like $22. So, you know, that's less than the cost of getting it graded. So I needed to complete the run. This was the last book I needed. I said, why not buy it graded? I do have a complete run of volume 1. All right, a book that, so this book, it's cooled off some over the last couple of months. But the interesting thing is that since the movie's released, it's been moving mad units, guys. When I say mad units, that means a lot for those that don't know. This is a 9.4 white pages. This was donated by an amazing friend of the channel. I think he, took a leave of absence from comic books as of late, but I still want to give a big shout out to Joe for donating this book to me as an A-OK, and I'll truly forever be grateful of this gift. So, but yeah, the book's cooled off in values a little bit, but it's gotten hot again just in terms of units on the market. And that'll, of course, again, you know, push supply and demand up to driving the value of the book up more. The thing is that I like is that the movie's out and the book's still selling. It just goes to show. I had a lot of issues with the film, a lot of issues, but you know, a lot of the audience and the fans are really loving it. And I think we are going to see at least a few of the key Eternals in the MCU for a long time. And I think that's going to play well. And I think these characters can be solid. Even though I had issues with the movie, I think the characters are going to be solid characters that we're going to continue to see throughout the MCU in years to come. Just so you know, folks, I'm saving the best for last, my Spider-Man collection. All right, we got Warlock number 1 in 8.5 off-white to white pages. I had 2 copies of this book. I pressed and cleaned them both. I sent the best one in. I was expecting to get an 8.5 for this book. I got an 8.5. Very, very happy to have this. One of the many Warlock keys to have and that I have in my collection. Next up, we have a very old CGC horrible case. Look at this nasty case. Oh my gosh, and the label is just bleh. This was my first ever graded comic book that I owned. Captain America number 100, 3.5 BG minus, crane to off-white pages. It has a big piece of tape going down like that. I think this book presents like at least a 4.5. It does have this rippling and roughage right here, but the corners are decently sharp. The back is extremely clean. A little bit of ding at the top corner, but it just has this tape. I'm assuming that nothing is loose and the staples are intact. So I do believe if I crack this and send it back in, it could definitely get a higher grade just because without even a press and clean. But my concern is that tape. My concern really is that tape right there, but it just presents beautifully. Very, very happy to own this. I do own a complete Captain America Volume 1 collection. All right, folks, we got some CBC action, continuing the Warlock theme. CBCS 6.5 off-white to white pages of Marvel Premiere number 1, the first appearance of Warlock, of him as Warlock. This is another hot book right now. Everything Warlock, and you guys know me. I love my Warlock. Next up, we have Inhumans number one. I do believe I have a complete volume 1 run of Inhumans. This is a CBCS 8.5 white pages. Not really fond of that label at all. It's pretty ugly in my humble opinion. But I purchased that graded, and for the price, it was a good deal. All right, folks. We're coming on some of my personal favorites just because it's Spider-Man. And for those that know me, I absolutely love Spider-Man. Are we ready? Let's do it. Most of everything that I sent in this last year was Spider-Man. All right. We have Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 16, the first appearance of Monica Rambeau. Another hot one, folks. Off-white to white pages in an 8.5. I was hoping this book will come back in 8.5. It came back in 8.5. Very, very happy about that. I do believe I purchased this book for 50 cents. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 31. First appearance of Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn in a 5.5 off-white to white pages. I purchased this raw, sent it in, was hoping to get a 5.0. It came back a 5.5. Very happy about that. Very, very happy about that. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 121, Death of Gwen Stacy in a 5.0 off-white to white pages. This was the first time I ever sent in. My grading wasn't as good as it is now. I was thinking this book was going to be like a 6.0, but I think what killed it was this large spine, color breaking crease that runs parallel to the spine, and it does look like there could be a little bit, I don't know if you guys could see that little blop right there. There could be a little bit of moisture. And again, CGC hates any sign of possible moisture damage. All right, my other holy of holy grails. Amazing Spider-Man number 129, first appearance of the Punisher in a 3.0, cream to off-white pages. I purchased this graded and very happy I did so. This book has more than doubled since I purchased it. And again, a 3.0, but it presents extremely well. This book has never been pressed too, I can tell just by looking at it. Could this book get a 3.5 with the press? Possibly, but I don't know. It's got, there's a lot of spine damage going on. A little bit of a rip right there. A little bit of a rip right in there. So I think this is a pretty solid 3.0, even if it got a press. All right, folks, keeping on the theme of Punisher, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 135, the second appearance of Punisher, and the second full appearance because he does have a cameo in 134. I bought this raw, pressed it, cleaned it, sent it in hoping to get a 9.0. It came back a 9.0 off white to white pages. Really beautiful book. Really, really beautiful. I have another copy in the press right now that I think is going to be going up for sale. All right, more Amazing Spider-Man. This is number 210, the first appearance of Madam Web. Sent this in raw. I think I purchased this book for maybe like $2 or $3. Sent it in raw, hoping to get a 9.0. Came back a 9.0. Off-white to white pages. And again, this could be another one right now that could be a good buy if you're finding good deals on it. I do believe Madam Web could be somebody that shows up in the MCU/Sonyverse in some form or fashion. And look, Spider-Man keys, regardless of movie hype, it's the premier legacy run in my humble opinion for Marvel. He's the premier character for Marvel. And all of these books are going to continue to increase over time, in my humble opinion, for that long-term investment, no matter MCU, movie hype, or anything like that. All right, next up, folks. Amazing Spider-Man number 252. First appearance of the black suit. I have 2 copies of this. I thought I sent in the better one. I was hoping to get a 7.0. I remember in the video when I was sending them off, I think I said, I'd like to get a 7.0 on this. If it comes back at 6.5, I'd be happy. Came back at 6.5, off-white to white pages. I did a lot pressing and cleaning this to get it to where it was at. Because as is, I don't think it would have gotten better than a 5.5. I think my other one is probably around a 5.0 or 5.5 as is. But it's definitely not going to press up to a 6.5, that's for sure. All right, folks. We got another CBCS. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 265. First appearance of Silver Sable. And an 8.5 off-white to white pages. This I purchased raw. It was a really good deal. I think I paid maybe like $60 for, if that. A couple years back. I love Silver Sable as a character. And I do think Silver Sable is going to show up in the Sonyverse / MCU at some point. All right, next up we have Amazing Spider-Man 299, cameo appearance of Venom before his first full. Newsstand, I sent this in raw, hoping to get a 9.0. Came back a 9.0. Off-white to white pages. All right, folks, and another big one. Amazing Spider-Man number 300. First full appearance of Venom. 8.5 white pages. I bought this book, and it has, man, I don't even know. I bought this book for like $260. So I think it's like at least tripled in value at this point. I gotta look. I know it was hitting like over 700 for a while there, and I think it even went above that. I think it went up to 800 and something at some point. I gotta look at where it's at right now, but so happy I finally bought this book when I did, because at one point I was like, I don't know if I'll get it. All right, folks, another Venom, Amazing Spider-Man 316, first technical full cover appearance instead of just a floating head, and just classic McFarlane cover. This was my childhood book. Bought it off the rack. Sent it in this year, hoping to get a 9.0. Came back a 9.0. Love this book. This one's been absolutely on fire as well. Next up is Amazing Spider-Man number 346. Just an amazing Larson cover. I love the cover. That's why I sent it in. Hoping to get that 9.8. Came back a 9.6. And to this day, and I'm going to show you with this next book why. It's ridiculous. I have videos out there talking about my issues with the subjectivity of the 9.6 next to the 9.8. I can't stand it. I have huge problems with it. This book is a 9.8 all day. It's flawless, guys. I mean, it is absolutely flawless. The corners are, is pretty much as sharp as they can be. The spine is almost flawless with maybe a slight little spine tick that's very minimal that does not break color. Right here by my finger, and that's it. That's like the only defect. The back is immaculate, perfectly white, no spine roll or anything, no crease, and I got a 9.6. Well, Chris, you're not an expert. Well, then I get this book, and you guys may have seen this video. Amazing Spider-Man 362. First cover appearance of all three, Spider-Man, Venom, and Carnage. Bought it off the rack, newsstand, and I was hoping that this book would get an 8.5. It came back a 9.8. And this book has multiple spine ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's got and a couple break color. And there's some blending at the bottom corner. I did an amazing job, though. There's an indentation right here that goes like this. There's an amazing job that I did on this as a press, because I thought before I pressed it, this book was maybe like a 6.5, maybe 7.0. Then I bumped it up thinking I could get an 8.5 on it. Now I'm looking at it. I mean, I can even see it maybe coming back a 9.0, but the 9.8, especially compared to the one I just showed you, the 346, you guys know I have my issues with that. All right, folks, we're almost done here. Few more to go. All right, we got Amazing Spider-Man number 4. First appearance of Silk, 9.2 white pages. This was my mail order, my monthly mail subscription. So for it to survive the mail, I did press and clean it and come back at 9.2. Pretty solid. But guess what, folks? that's not all. We got an Amazing Spider-Man number 4, 9.8 wide pages. I sent this in this year, hoping to get a 9.8. It came back a 9.8. So I most likely will be selling this one, the 9.2, at some point. We shall see. Very happy to have both of these, though. Obviously, the 9.8 is the bread and butter that is staying. Whoopsie. Sorry, guys. Staying in my collection. All right, next up, folks. I already showed one of these off. It's going to be given away to some lucky winner. This one is mine, oh mine. CBCS, Spectacular Spider-Man number 64 and an 8.5 wide pages. First appearance of Cloak and Dagger. I bought it graded. I forget what I paid for this book. 50 something at the time. Really, really affordable deal that I got. All right, next up we have a 9.8 Amazing Spider-Man 55 second print, beautiful red Gleason cover. And I also have one that's a CBCS. And it's the new cases and new labels, and I really like what they're doing. I really like what they're doing. I still like CGC's case a bit better, but I mean, this case is still crystal clear as although this one has blemishes on it. It's I bought it from the seller, and they actually gave me a refund and told me to keep it because you could tell that something had happened where it was sitting on another book and it got scraped up. But I'm really thinking that I'm liking the CBCS new CBCS labels better than the CGC ones. If the CBCS label was in the CGC case, whoo, that would be fire. Absolute fire. All right, folks, 2 more books. We have Marvel Team Up number 141 in a 9.4 white pages. Technically, people call this being tied as the first appearance of the black suit, but it did release 2 weeks, same month, but 2 weeks later than ASM 252. I bought this for $40 too. So I got this Secret Wars 8 and this one for $80. And I pressed them up. That one came back at 9.0. This one came back at 9.4. So $40 each. Amazing deal in my humble opinion, if you ask me. Beautiful glossed purple cover. All right, folks. The last CGC book in my collection, or excuse me, the last graded book in my collection. And no, it's not CGC. I say the best for last. It is a beautiful EGS custom label Miles Morales, issue number 25. A beautiful, beautiful variant. This was it says here, it is the Comic Mint exclusive. Isn't that beautiful? This is going to my son, and it's going to hang up on his wall because he's a huge Miles Morales fan. So just beautifully done. Simple black and red custom label. Amazing job, Tony and team at EGS. There it is, folks. That is my entire graded slab collection. I might be sending some books off to CBCS for the first time soon. I did get a Comic Tom golden ticket, so I may be doing that. And hey, CGC's changing their turnaround times. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll see some more books next year. Maybe not. I do have plans to send a few books. I have some more Wonder Woman black and white books that I want to send off to EGS as well. So hopefully a lot of these grading companies are going to be getting my love in the near future, and I'll be coming back and doing another video showing off more and more slabbed graded books that I have in my collection. Let me know what you guys thought of the graded collection in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Again, thanks to popculturezone.com for sponsoring the video today. Make sure you check them out. Be well, everyone. And until next time.